This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock.
Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today in the arena, I'm Mythic CGB. Oh my god, air horns. Editor? Air horns? Did you hear air horns? I hope you did, editor. Anyway, eSports. What? And I did it with a deck I was just kind of brewing on and playing with and decided to take to ranked, and it actually smashed the last couple inches of diamond, and I call it in the Inferno. What was I? It was like Diamond 3, then I just played for an hour or two, somewhere around 2 hours. Boom. Mythic, baby. This deck is a Chandra machine. So I wanted a deck that took what I liked about the blue-white Ugin list and had a little more oomph. And adding, I was starting to say, well, one of the cards on my list that nobody plays much of is Chandra, the Awakened Inferno. So I had it on my list to do a 4 of Chandra deck in the very near future. And this turned out to be it. I grabbed the shell from that Ugin blue-white control list. I added Chandra, the Awakened Inferno, and Deafening Clarion as my red cards. I kept with the Interplanar Beacon, and I tweaked the mana base to run no basics and no fabled passages other than 5 planes, which I fetch with Birth of Meletis, so that the rest of the lands could be dual lands, and the deck could be mostly base white, apart from this double blue for Narset, because Interplanar Beacon helps cast it. So I'm another Interplanar Beacon deck, and that is about where we ended up. And it's a little bit awkward. I didn't plan to show this deck right now because I just did the Ugin control deck yesterday, and this is very similar. I'm not going to lie about that. But when it actually tore up ranked pretty well, I said, well, I've got to show it now. I can't wait till for it to be next week's control deck. We've got to share it with the world, because you guys are actually out there playing my decks lately. I've never seen so many of my own decks out and about in the wild. I've played against Allure of the Unknown. I've played against Double Doom, and it's just so cool. The Rock, you know, these decks I've just put out in the last week. It's so cool to log on to Magic Arena and play against something that you built. And it's not something that's really normal for me. I've always been, in my opinion, like in terms of tiers, I always thought I was like a tier 3-ish content person, and as far as views and popularity, but that has changed a lot in the last month. You guys are watching my videos more than ever. Thank you so much. And it's really cool to play against my own decks. I actually feel kind of glad when I lose to them, feel a little bad when I beat them. So to all of you out there playing my decks who I've run into lately, thank you so much, and my very best wishes to you. And here we go. So 4 Chandras, 4 Elspeth Conquers Death, 2 Shire the Sky, and 4 Clarion to hold things back. 4 Teferis, 4 Narsets. Just spam those 3 mana Planeswalkers. They're so important in the deck, and they're so good with Elspeth Conquers Death. 4 Omens of the Sea. Omen of the Sea because you can bounce it with Teferi to provide the draw value engine that keeps the deck churning when it starts to slow down. 4 Birth of Meletis to run with those 5 basic lands. And the 4 Fae of Wishes. Always just play the Fae early. If you have nothing to do on turn 2, just play the darn 1/4. It actually matters more than you think, whether it's attacking a Narset or blocking a haste creature you didn't expect. Sideboard, get your Grafdigger's Cage and your Soul Guide Lanterns against the Rakdos deck, as well as some Sorcerer's Spyglass. It kind of takes layers against them. Sorcerer's Spyglass can't name Kroxa if they're the Kroxa version, but Grafdigger's Cage shuts down the cat and the Kroxa, so it's usually the first thing I fetch. And then 2 Devout Decrees for the red decks, 2 Aether Gust, also good against red, but also very, very good against Simic, Sultai, and Temur Reclamation. 4 Vetoes at their best against Temur Reclamation, or anytime you get ahead and get rid of the opponent's Teferi. A Time Wipe, because sometimes everything has to die. A Heliod's Intervention, it's really your only hope if the Clover deck plays a whole bunch of Clovers. and a Finale of Revelation to be the true endgame, where if the opponent has actually answered all of our threats, we shuffle up, we draw 10, and we have no maximum hand size. So we use our Fae of Wishes and our lack of maximum hand size to just keep replaying Fae every turn, fetching vetoes every turn. And the opponent eventually dies to an inferno of Chandra emblems, which is actually a fun and rewarding way to find victory. All right, let's dive in. Let this Mythic Chandra nonsense begin. This hand is great, but I'm not gonna lie. Part of me thinks, since I had that nice run yesterday, I'm gonna lose all my games here at Mythic today. It's just karma. Just the way it works. I don't really want another tap land, I don't think. And I think we'll hit enough land drops using the omens if we want to. And our opponent might be on fires, which is a pretty rough matchup. Fire's super proactive. It can lead to some really interesting games, but we need some of our 3 mana planeswalkers to even have a shot. Like, if we don't have a Teferi or a Narset on time, the matchup is really bad. Because those provide just a little bit of disruption and distraction and keep the opponent from just busting everything straight at our face. All right, no Teferi from them. That's a lot of land. That's a lot of land. Let's ship them. And there's our planeswalker. All right, come on out, buddy. Come on out. So normally I'd bounce my Omen of the Sea right away. Well, I guess I have to bounce that or I die. Or Teferi just gets attacked. So we'll send you away.
I won't. Let's try this.
And now down comes probably Fires, but not a Sphinx. It might be Fire's Borrower. Okay, they're going to spend their turn bone crushing the Teferi. I like this. We didn't get fired on. And they're holding up mana again. So they might have another Brazen Borrower. Well, we know they have this Brazen Borrower. Dumb thing to say. Alright. There's nothing I can really play for 2 mana except Birth of Meletus. But I suppose that's reason enough to play this now. I definitely won't keep one when I scry, but who knows. Narset I'll keep. Come on out. Come on out, girl. And though, these Clarions ain't doing it, are they? They have another Omen. That's really good for them, that they didn't have wasted mana that turn. And they keep one on top. Oh, Teferi. Okay. See if they bounce their Omen. They don't.
I've got it.
That's interesting. And they scry to the top. Okay. Well, we drew you. We do know there's 4 lands on the bottom of the deck, so shuffling the deck doesn't thin it, which is kind of sad. But what are we going to hit with the Narset? Another Omen of the Sea? Seems unlikely, so I may as well use this mana to play the Birth. And here's Narset.
If you wish to select, I have just the
Choices! Choices, choices, choices. Let's grab an Elspeth Conquers Death. We can remove a Fires of Invention when it shows up now. Oh yeah, bounce something. Do it, Teferi. Oh yeah, do it. Do it, Teferi. Yes! They forgot about Narset. Yes! Probably. Maybe they didn't. Interesting bounce, by the way. So what do they have? They didn't have a Kenrith. I sort of expected a Kenrith there. Okay. So this is where our hand gets a bit expensive and a bit clunk. Because we do want to play the Elspeth Conquers Death and get rid of the Fires. But our cards are expensive. You can kind of see it here. But let's go for it. Shut down the Fires of Invention to the best of our ability. and keep playing out some land. Was Brazen Borrower even bounce here? Like, there's nothing they want to bounce, is there? Wow. Okay. Okay. So discard 2 cards. I do want to hang on to Clarion. Birth of Meletis is like discarding another land. I think we can discard these Foundries. I think that's a really safe discard.
That's more like it.
Right, opponent is getting aggressive. This will go off, make their life a little trickier. We have another Elspeth Conquers Death for the Teferi if we want. I think I like that quite a bit. It continues to make the Borrower kind of weak. The Borrower does come down at instant speed and continue to apply pressure, and without Teferi we don't have instant speed Clarion, but there is one coming back. How do I keep my opponent's mana the most busy? As well as keeping them from attacking my face. I think it's birth into Elspeth Conquers Death. We could ignore Teferi. Deck isn't particularly scared of that card. And actually, I think that's kind of important. Let's also play this so that our next Planeswalker gains us more life. We may also want to play a tap land at some point. So I think I play this Elspeth Conquers Death, and then I bounce it with Teferi to exile something else. But yeah, let's protect our life total. I know Deafening Clarion could do the same thing, but I think keeping these going can be very disruptive. Besides, Clarion may still get its moment. May still have a moment to shine. We will see. Very nervous about a hasty creature.
Nothing.
They deal a lot of damage, but no, the opponent still hasn't pulled out a Kenrith or a Cavalier Flame, have they? Alright, here comes Teferi. Do you have any effects before Teferi comes in, or is it a wasted turn? It's a wasted turn. I love it.
My responsibility.
Alright, so now we can Elspeth Conquers Death and Deafening Clarion.
I'm getting too old for this. No, I am not making this up as I go.
Alright, get Teferi gone. Kill off the Borrower. Protect that life total. These hasty threats do damage very quickly. And if we get a Fae of Wishes, you might see me fetch a Spyglass and name Cavalier Flame, although I might also just grab an Aether Gust, but Teferi really messes up that. If a Teferi from them. They're scrying. They're scrying me a river. 2 to the top. Oh boy. Something bad about to happen. Bone Crusher Giant. Okay, that's gonna come back. Don't know if I agree, but there you go. Bone Crushes in the house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if we do this, we can still play Chandra, and we can still hit a Scryland. I think that's all good. I think it's time to start getting Chandras on the field, using as much of our mana as possible. And Chandra's going to exile that Bone Crusher Giant. Every Planeswalker is 2 life, so we want to try to play one of those every single turn. And then we want to use our loyalty to remove threats. And then the pluses will happen eventually. I'm not going to get myself into a bad Chandra race where we're plussing for emblems and letting the opponent have threats on the field. That's bad practice. Wait, where are we? Okay. Opponent scoops it up. They're out of here. Alright, let's hang on to this. And let's start the scries. Beacons. So, Beacon is one of the key cards if you are against an aggro deck or against a Rakdos deck, and you really need it. We don't have any Planeswalkers in this hand, but we have a lot of sweepers, and we already have one beacon. I think I bottomed this one. I think if we're against aggro, my hand's good already. Impatient red decks, who knew? Who would have thought that the arena would contain impatient red mages? Let's drop a 1/4 on them and see how they like that. Yep, bring them out. 95% Mythic. I'm sure you're top 100 bound. Better play mono red. Sorry. I'm always gonna pick on red decks. You can't stop me. It's going to keep happening. Enough of that. Since we have another shatter, I'm just gonna be really aggressive about it. I'll just attack there for the lifelink. Since blocking it, like, we just kind of prevent that 1 damage anyway. At least this way they're a life point lower. Spitfire. Okay. That's a good Chandra target. Or Chandra target, my bad. Teferi target.
I'm known for my excellent timing.
We make a good Chandra target too, if I can find it. Oh, and I plan to introduce you to Chandra. That's your Spitfire after all. Gotta put it in its place. Which shock would you like to use? Never didn't have it. Another beacon. I guess we were destined to play beacons here. So let's shatter the sky, I think. Once we play these, they're going to make 0/4 walls, which we're actually going to want. I could just wait. These are both lands. I could discard 2 lands, or I could discard a birth and a land to get the Fae back and then shatter the sky. Okay. Okay, I talked myself into it. Uh-huh.
Anyone need a match?
I guess I need to
No.
conquer death.
Too bad. Go get 'em, buddies.
They always have it, don't they? Wow, those are the last 2 cards out of your hand with exactly 5 mana. Good, good setup. Drop those off, get this back. Play Birth, play Shatter. Hope I don't get clowned. Alright, so white, colorless. Shatter your sky. Oh, did I save your ears? I'm trying to build the habit. I'm trying to build the habit of saving your ears. I'm trying, my
Say hi
friends.
to my fiery friends.
Okay. Ow. Ow. Down to 8. Down to 8. What's your top deck? Not relevant yet. Okay, I like it. I got something for you. Ooh, they top deck a lava coil. I love it. There's the one. Shut you down. No more little elementals for you. Double cavalcade seemed fine. Lava coil my wall. You got it. That tapped wrong. Thank you, auto tapper.
And discipline. Hone your
All right, Teferi will have to do. Keep the life total coming. Let's pump the Teferi up so that we can bounce the Fae of Wishes next turn. And then we'll go fetch Heliod's Intervention and blow up the Cavalcades. Okay, let's make sure that's still the play.
Keep an open
Hello. Big Chandra. Mama's home.
Don't make a
See if we draw the blue source here. Ooh, we do. See if we go blue, blue, and we have 3 open. That's not enough. We want 4 open to cast the intervention, so instead we'll play the Chandra. We could exile this, but I don't think they'll ever get rid of this Spyglass. The red deck isn't a deck that usually packs many answers, and we already saw a Lava Coil. Alright, do I have to tap careful? Auto tap are gonna get me again. Alright, destroy those 2. And yeah, I could have done it all at instant speed because of Teferi. I'm just playing through the whole progression to try to entice the red player to pack it in.
Oh, looks like someone's getting a little sweaty.
Or hang out if they want to. Whatever they want to do. It's fine. This is fine. Storbrand? Cool. There we go. That was the nail in the coffin. Well, those are some expensive ladies. But put faith in the deck. We'll get there. Oh boy. Anytime they start with a Sphinx, I feel like I'm getting cheated. You get to scry 3? That's called stacking your deck back in my day, young man. And it wasn't allowed. Temple. I think they kept 1 on top, so this is a fresh scry. So at least 3 to the bottom here. So I really want the 3 mana Planeswalker. With this mana, that's pretty much a Teferi. So yeah, we'll go for the Omen. Elspeth Conquers Death would be acceptable. Teferi, Narset, Elspeth Conquers Death. Those are what we want. Day of Wishes is a bit too slow. Squeeze me? Stupid shuffler. Alright. Do the Birth and the Scryland. We could try to Omen of the Sea for those cards that I mentioned, but I think we're just not doing enough things. Just not putting anything on the board at that point. Eventually, big hasty monsters will come for me. Teferi. Rough. Rough. Alright.
Don't worry. I got this.
So we have to have an answer to the fires right away. So we're going to use the Fae of Wishes. There's also an Omen down there. So I guess I'll get the Intervention. One of the big problems right now is that we don't have an answer if the opponent just plays the Sphinx, which is completely reasonable. But I guess we have to do this, I think. Yep. Had a feeling. Oh no, would you like to bounce your Omen? I want to bounce their Omen. That's why, like I want to be in their seat bouncing their Omen. That's why I'm stuck on it. But let's get that Scry 1 here. Yes. Good draw. Come on out. Now I have to decide if I want to bounce my Fae. Although putting the Fae in the graveyard is fine because we're about to play Elspeth Conquers Death, so... That said, Spyglass on Cavalier of Flame. And juicy.
Do you want me to phase you out of time? I've got time.
Yeah, I think this can die. Protect your life total. These Cavalier of Flame decks come at you fast. If you blink, you just might miss them. Just Bueller understands. But let's see what they pour their mana into here, and it's a Cavalier of Flame. So I think Chandra's going to come out and exile that. Wow, they get 3 fresh cards off that too. Gross. So I want to save this for the Fires of Invention. We just have to drop Chandra's and start exiling things. We're way behind too.
Other things to burn.
But Chandra needs to be attacked or stomped to get Chandra off the field. So that diverts the opponent's attention a little bit. Stomped it is. And attack me for 4. Ow. Bone crushies.
Nothing.
Okay. So another Chandra. This time get rid of the Sphinx.
Ever see a volcano erupt in person? You're about to.
We got the Deafening Clarion for the Bone Crusher eventually.
Fire problem.
We're starting to get to the point where we can keep up with them because we've been hitting all of our land drops, but there's still at least 2 positive cards and a full turn ahead. And that happens. Cavalier Flame Chains. Ugh. It's not great. Oh, are we missing the land? We missed the land? That was pretty huge.
This
Of course,
might
that
be a bad
means
idea.
all the cards in their hand matter. Oops, that's not great either. Alright, let's do it. I think we've got to do the Clarion and just keep this thing away. You see, I've been like blocking and removing something every turn because this deck hits you for so much damage at once. It just pummels you.
That's more like it.
So we can't, wherever we can keep them from untapping and hitting us with something, we have to take that opportunity. This never stops. It never stops. Make the bad man stop. Make them stop. Make them stop. All right, we have to shut that down. Whatever we do, we have to find something to get rid of, to get that off the board, at least for a second. Shatter the Sky. I mean, that will do it. Better, though, if we didn't give them another freaking card. Oh, my lord. Ship them. What do we have? Aether Gust and Devout Decree don't solve this problem. So I guess it is a Shatter. Then do I play this? I don't think so. Another haste threat, though. Can Cavalier kill me? Almost. Really close. Don't think we get much choice. You know, I've said a few times, you just play this when you can. The opponent will probably bounce it with Teferi if they want to, but then I guess that's fine. Because then we get to cast the other side of it anyway, and we use up one of their Teferi activations. You just gotta make the plays to stay alive here. The big Elspeth Conquers death turn is coming, you guys. It's coming. Can we get there? No. Make this card stop, please. I don't want to play against it anymore. Would you like to bounce my Fae? We do get to exile this.
Here we go.
Chandra comes out and exiles the Cavalier of Flame. We go to 2, but this does have this double gain twice X life mode. Oh, another land. How nice.
Let's make this quick. I've got other things to burn.
You.
Boom! Exploded.
Boom exploded. I would have thought it would have looked cooler. So our opponent's Teferi keeps us from fetching Veto. That's not... I don't like that. I don't like that even a little. So we need to fetch something. What do we fetch? I think they still have 1 or 2 Kenriths and 1 or 2 Cavs. Let's see here. 3 Cavs down, so getting Spyglass naming Cavalier doesn't sound good. We can name Kenrith though. We could get Finale, but that's hoping for 2 turns of the opponent doing nothing, which is unreasonable to me. But yeah, let's get this. Name Kenrith, I think. Well, I guess we're naming Cavalier Flame, kids. Because all 4. They drew all 4. Now they can Teferi bounce the Spyglass, but they can't Teferi bounce the Spyglass and the Fae. So we'd still have a blocker. But let's see. Yeah, and they can play Fires, but then they can only play 1 of their 2 Cavaliers. Their draw's been frickin' Fire. Their draw's been Flame. We can put it that way. We will have truly gone through Fire and Flame if we pull this off. Okay.
Don't worry. I
At
got
least they had to get rid of their Teferi. Still don't think they can kill me. Go in for the Fires. You can play Cavalier Flame here and pump it twice if they want to. You can block it though. Then we have to find an answer. Thinking about if I'm scrying. I think I should. Gotta be time to scry, right? It's so much mana though. So if we do this, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 to play Spyglass. It takes 3 to Heliod's Intervention the Fires. Yeah, but if we don't kill this, we die. So I guess I have to do this. Teferi, we can bounce it and play a Spyglass. So be it. I guess we could keep the land because we also hit our land drop. And we get another scry. And that's probably better than a random draw, but maybe I'm wrong. I think it is better than a random draw. Watch, I bet they drew Bone Crusher Giant anyway, right? Alright, so this goes up.
too hot.
This
for
comes
you.
down.
Let's slow this down.
This name's Cavalier Flame. Another Teferi. I guess we lose. God, that's frustrating. But we'll make him do it.
Hey, no! I am not making this up as I go.
Make them find the line. So what they can do is they can play the Teferi, bounce the Spyglass, play the Cavalier, kill me. And since they did something very similar last turn, they'll find it. Good game though.
A hero thing.
Very frustrating, very upsetting game, but I won't say it wasn't good. Clarion, Clarion. Some people like Clarion, my wayward son. In this case, it's the only reason we're keeping the hand. Because if our opponent is aggressive, then we beat them. We Clarion them, and everything is fine. But that isn't... So, Diamond, all aggro. Mythic itself, all fires and Simic and Sultai, all mid-range. It's been kind of bizarre. It's the culture shock. Like, it's not good for this deck. This deck is not great in those matchups. It's definitely suited to smash on aggro. And what is this draw? The land tribal draw. Wilderness Reclamation on 4. No? Bro? Okay. I'll just be right here waiting for you. Like good old Richard Marx. Okay, we know they don't have a Thassa's Intervention, but they have a Brazen Borrower. You can tell by the stick. The stick occurred as soon as we played out the card. Okay, what are they sitting on? If we play the Narset, the Borrower comes down and attacks it to death. We could play it and not activate it, but the Borrower could bounce it. Or we could just Chandra up. Opponent can borrow bounce this, which is kind of frustrating. Oh, alright, Insight. I can still borrow it. Just give him a second. Ether Gust. Okay. Just main deck that sucker, everybody. Why not? All of the net decks do it. Uro. Yeah. We're in troubles. So I could play Narset. I could play Narset and not minus it. But let's see if the opponent responds with this Chemister's Insight. If they do, I can minus it, because then the Borrower won't attack it. If they let this resolve, then I don't tick it down, so that the Borrower can't kill it. Okay, they do go for the Insight, which means for me that I am going to use the Narset. Because we could find a Teferi, but we don't. We did not find Teferi. Ugh. Teferi is a pretty crucial card in this matchup. I assume they're on Teamer Reclamation, not some weirdo Teamer control. And they say go. 6-1. They're looking for Teferi.
Fury will only need. I have just the trick for
Cool.
this.
Good stuff.
Those
And again.
Just wait a moment. Meditate and prepare.
This deck freaking hates me right now. This deck hates me so much right now. I am confident this is one of our better matchups, but you have to draw cards that matter. And apparently that is asking way too much of my deck at this moment. Way too much. Brazen Borrower your wall. Cast your Brazen Borrower. Ooh, Thassa's Intervention. Okay. Kind of surprised. I still think they have it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure what else it could be, though, based on the way that the early turns went. But I'll take it. I'll take a break. If I can get a break, I will take a break. Missed on a basic land. So they have a forest in their hand. Wilderness Reclamation, forest in the graveyard. Interesting. That's not going to work. People in Narset. There you go. Okay. Now let's see. Is it time to explode my face? Actually, no. I could go for Granted, which they might counter, and then can I play Elspeth Conquers Death? No. It's not how that works. So I guess we just have to try this and hope it resolves. I've got nothing else. I will auto pay 3 for your next trick. Fun. Well, if they're bringing back Uro, maybe they're missing the explosion. Riveting commentary, I know. There just isn't much to say. You pretty much, you wait until your next turn if you get one, and you see what you can do. Alright, the last card they drew was a land. Not a lot of things I can do to answer what they have, but I guess we go for this again. Resolves. Well, if they had the explosion, they'd use it, but I still think I'm supposed to take out the reclamation. And normally I'd just play this Fae to have something to block the Uro in case they remove my O4. Yeah, I think I'm still supposed to do that. As much as fetching something could come in really handy here, you just can't take the hits. Everything falls out of control too quickly. Nearly every time I could have played a Fae just to have a blocker or a body on the board, and I don't do it, I end up regretting it. Okay, they're even shocking for that land. They definitely have, like, explosion ready. They did keep something on top, so you know it's got to be good. 9 cards in the graveyard. Plenty of Uro to play after this one. Okay. Now weird. Down to 1 card. If it were an explosion, I think they would have done it. What did they keep? None of those cards looked keepable. Maybe the Opt. I guess I wouldn't blame them for hanging on to an Opt. And that's another land. See whether they scry. At the bottom. Are you telling me there's a chance? So you're telling me there's a chance. Bounce Elspeth conquers death. Kind of weird. So I was going to play Chandra and basically send it away, trying to exile this Uro, but since the opponent made that play, I get to do this. And I get to do this. Now the opponent's going to play a Borrower. I can play the Fae of Wishes to stand in front of it. Let's think. I'm going to play Chandra. Yeah, I don't need this land. I still have 3 mana to sacrifice Omen and do some scrying if I need to. Alright, go ahead. Bring out your Borrower. Or not. Weird. Another Opt. Okay. To the top. Must be nice. Okay. They keep Growth Spiral. I guess filling your graveyard for Uro is a strategy. Oh, now they're doing the mana math. That's not good. They went face, and they drew 3. That's a pretty soft explosion, but they find Wilderness Reclamation with it, so never punished. And they say go. There's a Narset. I think I just have to get a veto with this now. 2 to bounce, 3 to fetch, 2 to veto. Yeah, I think I do. I guess we can attack first. There's no real cost to it. I could also try to Narset for a Teferi. What's coming back next turn? A Narset is. So I guess that doesn't make that much sense. So yeah, let's do this. Keeping a Shatter seems the most useful, as it can also tag a Uro if we're in a pinch. All right, I've got a veto to take on the explosion. How many do they have? I think I've seen 2, right? There's 1. Oh, just 1. Oof. Gross. We have a long way to go. Yep. Uro is a thing. Meant to annoy me. Put out your land. It's sticking because you have a land. You may as well throw it in the bin because you already fetched all your basics. Alright, so we can't tap out here. If we do, we might get our face exploded. Here's the Narset. Loyalty.
I train every day.
Please show me a Teferi. Yes. Come on down, buddy. It's your time.
If you show remorse, I'll show.
So we'll plus and we'll shatter the sky on our opponent's turn. That way we don't expose Teferi to Storm's Wrath, and we'll still have enough mana for veto. If we Storm's Wrath on our opponent's turn, they don't get the bonus card because of the Narset. Also, opponent's still not flashing in Borrowers. I mean, maybe they know about Shatter the Sky or think they know. Storm's Wrath. We just let that be. Sucks to lose the Narset, but there will be another. We do have to do this in response, though. Because if Narset goes away, then the opponent will get to draw the cards from attacking with Uro or from the Shatter itself.
Enough.
Defend Teferi. Defend Teferi at all cost. While Teferi's on the field, the opponent can't use the mana from their Wilderness Reclamation to cast Explosion. So that means more reclamations are fine. As long as Teferi is here, we aren't afraid. We aren't afraid of the reclamation until something happens to Teferi. Alright, here comes a Borrower. Just one. Okay. So let's see here. We do this, and we can still have the mana for Birth of Meletis and Dovin's Veto, and we can play to Chandra to take out the Borrower. Make sure that we still have planes available. Okay. So that's 3. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Being really careful here. Don't want to goof it up.
Get out of my way. I'm burning up here.
You don't get to attack Teferi.
What?
The good thing about having Chandra down is we can prep it to fight the Uros in the future, and it can stand up to the next Brazen Borrower without tapping more mana next turn. In phase scrying. Gotta love it. Got to love it. Desperation possibly setting in. 17 cards. But we've still only seen one expansion explosion, so you know there's more on the way. When it plays the Borrower. Here comes the Reclamations. The opponent can keep using the castle to scry in between if they want to. It feels good, but it's a lot of dirtle. 2 to the top. Okay. We all know we play plenty of games where our opponent draws the right card all the time, so go ahead, stack your deck. Plus.
I've got it.
Exile you.
If you want to fight, you got it. Boom! Exploded.
For Boom Exploded, that's not nearly exciting enough, in my opinion. Alright, blue. We need another blue, so let's get it here. Play the Narset. We can leave it on 5 and play around another Storm's Wrath. Or we could minus it and try to find the perfect card. We can also play Fae of Wishes, and if we want, discard these and go fetch something. Opponent only gets 1 draw here. They kept 2 on top, but they only get 1 draw. So if I counter their Storm's Wrath, and then they also have Explosion, they still don't get to draw from it, so I think we use this.
This is an open mind.
Another Teferi. Okay. So this will let me next turn bounce the Fae of Wishes with my Teferi. Let's go ahead and put this out. Yeah, I plan to counter a Storm's Wrath if the opponent plays one, so let's play this. And let's keep playing lands. Man, I don't know how we hung in this game when the opponent was drawing and scrying and had everything going. But they didn't get the big explosion to close. They played this baby explosion for 3 at one point. Just wonder if that was the play. So if they lead with the explosion, okay, they're going Torching Dragonfire into Fairy. We can let that resolve. We can let that resolve because we have the veto. So if they go for a big explosion here, we can counter it. It doesn't really achieve much. Not to mention Narset is still here. And next turn we play the other Teferi. They might have a Thassa's Intervention to try to counter that. Maybe that's what they're thinking. I guess we can counter that. Teferi can bounce the Fae of Wishes, go fetch another veto. Okay, targeting Narset? Maybe I let that go because they're still not going to draw cards. Let's keep the Narset. Let's keep the Narset. And one less explosion that I have to worry about. And that's a scoop. Ooh, what a game. Oh my goodness. The stories of 7% Mythic Gamer. All right, let's get back in for the chat. How would you change it? So this deck is definitely best suited for aggro matchups where playing early Fae of Wishes can really deter their strategy. Birth of Meletis is a good card. Clarion is pretty important. And Interplanar Beacon gaining you life can matter a lot. So I would play this in a red meta for climbing. Now that you're in Mythic, I think it's safer to switch to more traditional control decks, less tap out, get some counter spells back in the mix, get more interactive spells, more cards that say instant in them. Vetoes, for example. Maybe you can just main deck Aether Gust here. I would have to play a few more games up here to find out. These are the first games I've played in Mythic in a while. So, but yeah. Anyway, that is my take. I really like the deck. I think that you climbers should give it a shot. I think that a more aggressive Super Friends tap out take on control is a good way to play ladder games as opposed to trying to have the right counter and holding open mana. Good players punish you for it. Counters end up stuck in your hand because of Teferi. I think this is the way to do it. And I do hope it brings some joy and reignites the spark and the fire in some of you out there. And yeah, we're going to call that a video. Also, I've been told I don't mention this enough by some people who have come over, but I do stream on Twitch on Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Tuesdays, I play decks submitted by viewers, and on Thursdays, I talk about decks submitted by viewers. When I play decks submitted by viewers, I usually play 3 to 5 games, so I only end up playing like 3 to 5 decks total, and there's probably 20 to 40 submissions every week, so it's very hard to do. But on Thursdays, which today is a Thursday, so I'll be doing this later today, but you won't see this till tomorrow. But next week, come next week, I try to go through and talk about decks. So that's where you bring decks that you want worked on, that you have a problem that you want to solve. It's not a place where you bring decks that you want to show off, where you're like, this is my deck, it's amazing, what do you think of it? That is definitely better for Tuesday if you try to submit them on Tuesday. This is where we workshop decks and we try to take a look at decks and I give my feedback and how I would make it better. So that's what Thursday is about. So yeah, make sure you follow me on Twitch. If you have a Twitch Prime subscription, you can subscribe there and support the channel for free. And thank you for watching this video. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Flame on.